Hello there! For today's Hot Topic presentation, we will be visiting the topic of charter schools. This presentation was prepared for by Jenny and Diana. Before we begin the presentation, we would like for you to participate in an anticipation reaction guide. For this portion of the activity, we would like for you to ignore the reaction section. Focus on the anticipation and the statement. For the anticipation, you will fill out true or false on a scratched piece of paper. Your answers should be based on the statement. Statement 1 states, a charter school charges student tuition. Is that true or false? Please write it down. The second statement says, charter schools are not considered private schools. True or false? And the last statement says, charter schools have religious affiliation. Is that true or false? We will revisit these questions at the end of this section.
In doing our research on our hot topic of charter schools, we identified 7 key questions that we wanted to look further into. They are the following. What are charter schools? Are all charter schools the same? Who is eligible to submit a charter petition? What are the qualifications required of charter school teachers? How are students admitted to charter schools? How are charter schools funded? And why choose a charter school? Before taking an in-depth look at charter schools, we wanted to start with a very basic definition of what a charter school is. A charter school is an independently managed, publicly funded school operating under a charter or a contract between the school and the state or jurisdiction, allowing for significant autonomy and flexibility. Now, let's take a deeper look at charter schools. Charter schools are an alternative education model under the jurisdiction of the public school system that provides instruction in any combination of grades K through 12. They receive greater flexibility over operations in exchange for increased performance accountability. The school is established by a charter, which is a performance contract describing key elements of the school. This charter contract describes things like the school's mission, instructional program, governance, personnel, finance, plans for student enrollment, and how all of these are measured. State laws and charter contracts provide schools with autonomy over curriculum, personnel, budget, and schedule. Charter schools are schools of choice, meaning students are not assigned to the school because of where they live. Instead, families must choose to enroll their child in a charter school. As public schools, charter schools are prohibited from charging tuition. They must not discriminate or be religious in their operation or affiliation. In most cases, charter school admissions are determined by lottery when there are more applications than available seats. Charter schools are not exempt from federal laws that cover students' rights or safety, including special education and other civil rights protections. They are also subject to state accountability systems, and their students must take required state tests. In exchange for this autonomy, charter schools are subject to periodic performance reviews and may be closed for failing to meet agreed-upon outcomes. Charter schools receive public funding based on the number of students they enroll. In general, charter schools receive less funding than traditional public schools in the local area. The next question we wanted to look at was, are all charter schools the same? Charter schools are very diverse in their approaches to schooling. A charter is a mechanism that allows a public school to pursue a mission or approach to teaching and learning put forward by the people who applied for the charter. Charter schools are public schools that operate with more freedom than traditional schools have to determine their instruction, their curriculum, the length of days, the length of the school year, and autonomy from state and local rules regarding budget management and staffing. So to answer the question, no, not all charter schools are the same. They vary depending on the mission or approach to teaching and learning put forward by the people who applied for the charter. We were curious to know who exactly is eligible to submit a charter petition. In our research, we found that anyone may develop, circulate, and submit a petition to establish a charter school. Charter developers are required to collect signatures to indicate support for the petition. For a new charter school that is not a conversion of an existing public school, charter developers must obtain the signatures of either 50% of the teachers meaningfully interested in teaching at the school or 50% of the parents of the students expected to enroll at the school. For a charter school that is a conversion of an existing public school, the charter developer must collect the signatures of 50% of the teachers at the school to be converted. The petition must contain a prominent statement that a signature means that the person signing is meaningfully interested in teaching in or having his or her children or child attend the school. In researching who is eligible to submit a charter petition, we also identified ways in which charter petitions can be denied. A local educational agency must make written factual findings of any of the following. The charter school presents an unsound educational program. The petitioners are demonstrably unlikely to successfully implement the program set forth in the petition. The petition does not contain the required number of signatures. The petition does not contain an affirmation of each of the conditions described. Or the petition does not contain reasonably comprehensive descriptions of all of the 16 required elements of the petition.
What are the qualifications required of charter school teachers, you may ask? Well, in some states, teachers are required to hold a teacher credentialing certificate, a permit, or a document equivalent to that of which a teacher in other public schools would be required to hold in core academic subjects such as English, math, science, and history. This is a requirement in the state of California. However, some states may not require teacher certification for experienced professionals with expertise in a particular field or those teaching subjects that are not considered core academic subjects. If you're wondering how students are admitted to charter schools, here's how. Charter schools are schools of choice. This means students are not assigned to a school because of where they live. Instead, families must choose to enroll their child in a charter school. Similar to a traditional public school, charter schools cannot discriminate in their admissions policies. All state and federal civil rights protections remain in place. They are required to comply with special education laws, and they are not allowed to admit students based on previous performance or test scores. This means that most charter schools determine their enrollment by lottery. When there are more applicants than available seats, the lottery system is what seems to work best. Although charter schools differ from the traditional public school setting, charter schools are not allowed to be student-funded. This means they may not charge students tuition. Funding for charter schools is received according to the number of students enrolled, and the amount of funding is determined by the state charter law and state finance system. Typically, charter schools receive less funding than traditional public schools, but are still government funded. So why choose charter schools? Well, for teachers, it's easy. Teachers at charter schools are allowed more flexibility in content delivery. Teachers also receive needed instructional materials because of funding distribution. In addition, teachers receive necessary trainings, staff development, and incentives for increased academic performance due to the risk of being shut down. Overall, all of these elements help increase teacher morale and retention rates. For students, on the other hand, differentiated learning environments are offered at charter schools. Attendance is by choice rather than traditional public schools, which are assigned based on where you live. Parents have the opportunity to pick the school that will best benefit their child based off of mission statements and core beliefs. Lastly, students are more engaged and motivated because content is delivered in innovative approaches. Overall, teachers and students are happy at charter schools, which helps increase teacher performance, and student academic performance. We would now like for you to take a few seconds and fill out the reaction portion of the activity. We will then go over the answers for the reaction. We will now show you the correct answers for each statement. Statement number 1 says, a charter school charges student tuition. The answer for that is false. A charter school does not charge tuition. Statement number 2 says, charter schools are not considered private schools. The answer is true. A charter school is a different type of public school. And the last statement says, charter schools have religious affiliation. The answer is false. Charter schools are prohibited from having religious affiliation. At the conclusion of this video, we would like for you to visit our Padlet and write a small reflection of your answers during the beginning of the activity as opposed to the end. We would like for you to share insight on whether your answers changed or they stayed the same. In conclusion, as educators, we must recognize that some students will need an entirely different educational setting than the one provided by traditional schooling. Alternative types of schooling, like charter schools, provide many benefits that will meet the needs of their students. Charter schools provide flexibility to students, parents, and teachers involved. Charter schools operate with more flexibility and freedom to determine curriculum, instruction, and length of school days and years. Additionally, teachers can provide students with extra time, one-to-one instruction, or additional technological resources that may not be available in traditional schools. As quoted by the California Charter School Association, we know one size fits all doesn't work when it comes to education. Charter schools offer a different approach to public school, as one unique as California students. Charter schools put students first and offer the personal attention, creativity, and passionate teaching that students need to learn. Public, free, and open to all, charter schools are a vital part of the public education in California.